Let me switch part. The boys are back. How are
Yes,
you, Chris?
sir. Quarters. Quarters. Every dog has its day. Yo, every dog has its day. That's how I am, Quarters. How you
Yeah.
doing, bro?
Good myself, good myself. The Dan Carters
Yeah.
of podcasting here to give you our rugby opinions, our
Yeah.
rugby takes, and obviously you should feel free to share your opinions, share your
Yeah.
takes. Yeah, we're on the road to 500 subscribers. And
hmm
church announcements, obviously you can find us here, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the socials. Yeah, where it's also been getting a bit heated on the
Hey, it's
socials
getting
as
hot,
well.
eh? Hey, it's getting hot. And it's just opinions. You see, that's the thing.
Yeah.
The beauty about opinions is everyone is entitled to their opinion, and we don't have to see things the way that you want us to see them. you know.
Yeah,
And you just, yeah, you know, that's all.
I think let's start with news of the day. Box squad announced after a comeback that we saw at Ellis Park. The Box squad is announced. I think we'll start with obviously the disclaimer that Kolisi unavailable injured, Dutoy
Yeah.
unavailable injured,
hmm
Arendse and Edwin van der Merwe also joining that list. And during the week, it was Mapimpi that was called up to the box squad.
hmm
But
hmm
yeah, box squad announced. Uh, five players from the starting lineup last week have
Yeah.
only been retained, and it's also
hmm
worth noting that five players of color, one black player, the rest 18 white players. But that's a story for another day. Um, let's start.
Then I say, hey,
Oxenche.
hey, race baiting, hey, hey, but these are the facts. These are the
Hey
facts.
man,
This is what is in front of us.
I
You
don't
can only comment on what you see.
I don't pick the team. I also don't set the targets.
Yeah.
Also, don't set unrealistic targets if you know you're not going to meet them.
Yeah,
I'm not the
exactly.
one who made the targets, but alas, we'll start with the
Anyway,
only black player,
anyway,
Oxenche.
anyway.
Then we've got Malcolm Marks. Thomas Dutoy gets a go.
hmm
We've got RG, Ron
Yeah.
Yokia at 5, Marcon Verstaden at 6, Mostert 7, Jean-Luc Dupre is back from maternity leave. We've got Williams, we've got Polly's there, Colby,
Is a maternity
Dallender.
leave.
Creel escapes the cut. We've got Moody and we've got Vali LaRue on the bench. Manus van der Merwe, who's rumored to go to the Stormers, or the Stormers are interested. We've got Bowen Fenter, Volko Low, Etzebeth on the bench, Ludiaga on the bench, Quacha still on the bench, Reynach still on the bench, and then we've got Sasha there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, back to, you know, it's back to factory settings, perhaps not really. To be honest,
Yeah.
it's easy to just say, yeah, no, it's back to factory settings, but I think there's a good mix here. In terms of if you look at the different qualities that the guys that have come in bring. Nokia, I think, or let's start Ox, Marks, Dutoy. I think, yeah, Ox and Marks are your best number one, number two, number three. I think we're
Yeah.
still trying to figure out.
Yeah,
Um,
Dutoy sometimes he's there as a swing prop, but he sometimes does have difficulties at 3, so we'll see how he goes. But Volkolo is
yeah,
always there as an insurance policy.
yeah, exactly. Because then you've also got Vocalo there. RG, I think, yeah, he comes in, bring more bulk, more meat, and also I think just getting in behind them more. I think we still. I don't think they'll go too far away from that. That they did what they did last week, or what they were trying to do last week. I
But
think
it looked
it's
like Elizabeth was trying to do an RG impression. He was trying to, like, for the first try he got the hands free,
mm,
and then on other attempts he got them free. It wasn't successful. He didn't find the target, but it looked like he
yeah,
was trying to get offloads going like he was RG.
yeah. Look, and you must understand. We'll talk about that, but I think it's what they wanted to do. We spoke about it, that they respect these guys enough to try these things.
Yeah.
We said that they going to try things, and you saw there were things. I think even just the way that they started, showed that. that there was a set intention. So I think with RG coming in, it's go. I think we're going to see more of that, but more maybe a bit more energy and a bit more sort of a bit more punch there at four, more than Etzebeth, because I think Etzebeth really, that guy's been battered, man. So
Mm.
like other guys need to come in, step up, and do the job there. I think RG will see that. Nokia will come in the lineouts and also the work rate. I think that's what they'll be
Yeah,
looking for
lineouts
there.
were a problem. I think there was about seven that went astray.
Yeah, from starting the breakdown, we spoke about it last week and we saw it on the weekend how valuable he is and how, him getting a consistent run of starts, as,
Yeah, and he
also,
had he had a hot start in the game, but then it's like
yeah,
after he went off and came back.
came back. He struggled to fight to get back in.
Mm,
He struggled to get back in. And I think Mostert, look, for me, yeah, okay. Because I don't think really there was anybody off the bench on the bench on the weekend. There wasn't really the bomb,
yeah,
So surprised he's in there as well. But I think that's also more focused on the breakdowns in him because I think throughout his Bok career, he's been notorious for attending the breakdowns, securing the ball as well. So I think that's really where he's really going to be focused on and
yeah,
from start and maybe trying to disrupt their ball as well there. And then John Luke as well, that physicality, but also the ability to play through link up as well with the backs. And then Williams, yeah, I think, look, he is your 9 years. You could have wanted better decision making from him or better control, really, of the
yeah. It's a
tempo.
game. It's a game management thing, and you know what? I actually
Yeah.
don't have a problem. I actually don't have a problem with it in terms of. But this is why I like Jaden Hendrickson, and this is why I like
Mm-hmm.
different types of players
Said it to my
because
brother as well.
fine if you want to play this way. Grant Williams, I have no problem with the way that he plays. But then if you run into issues and you can bring on a Jaden Hendrickson to change the pace of play because that's where he excels. He knows how to
To bring it
he
back
steers the
to,
ship better. He steers the ship
yeah,
better, and he knows how
to bring,
to change pace better. You could even say he's a better game manager than Grant Williams.
yeah,
But
to some degree, yes.
but you've got Corpus
And
Reina who's coming on, who's kind of it's like for like.
yeah, he just kept the tempo. But that was
Yeah,
part of, I think really it was just all part of what, I mean, even if you look at this team, I don't see them changing too much, to what they were trying to do,
yeah,
but to accept to not be loose. And also, I think as well, what you'll see is it's like I was just thinking to myself, just because you have a Ferrari doesn't mean you have to drive it flat out all the time,
yeah.
and that's what was happening on the weekend. So I think you'll see with Pollard coming in there at 10, you'll probably not want to. There'll be more balls where he'll say no, kick it off the base or take it up with the forwards, or you
Yeah.
won't be as eager to always want to run it, because that's not naturally his instinct as opposed to how Libbok was. Because I mean, Libbok was looking like he wanted to be active around the park, but again, poor,
But he
like you
okay,
said,
I
game management.
understand exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
My thing is in the game, obviously we'll go deeper in, but Boks had territory and Boks had possession. If you look at the
Mm.
tries that Australia scored, I think three of them were long range. So
Yeah.
does it matter whether you're kicking for territory or whether you're running for territory? Because
Yeah.
we had territory. We were in there 22, over 10 entries, no points.
Mm.
We were
Mm.
there. So does it
Mm.
matter in the style of play and game management? Does it matter whether you're kicking for territory or you're running for
Yeah.
territory?
I think what matters is the execution. At the end of the day, that's really what it is, the execution, also the patience. I think really it was really the implosion, and again, yeah, you will put it on. And the thing is like you won't. How can I say, Coders? It's very difficult to say, this player, that player, and the other player. That's just for me because I looked at what the coach said. I read an extract
Yeah,
in the newspapers the other day where he said we're the ones that give them the instruction. I'm paraphrasing here, and
yeah,
but and he was saying that they're the ones that the coaches they take that, and they're the ones that give out the game plan. They're the ones that give out the blueprints and whatnot. To say, and even said, yeah, maybe the halftime talk. So again, they were feeling like you were feeling last week. They were feeling like you were feeling last week, in that sense, to say, look, we should take these guys, and they got sucker punched and they didn't
yeah,
help themselves. And, yes, and there were players that, didn't help themselves in that situation. But nonetheless, I think this weekend you want to see a bit, an attempt to have a bit more of a controlled type of
yeah,
performance, of how to use your energy as well, in
yeah,
that sense,
yeah.
because you're not always going to want to just run everything. But yeah, the
Then we've
Cheslin
got
Colby
DL
back,
and yeah, Colby back.
yeah,
Colby was actually he could have
supposed to
played
play.
last week,
Mm.
but they decided to give him an
And even
extra week.
Dialenda as well.
Yeah. Yeah, instead
And
they had him
Dialenda as
shooting
well.
shooting promos of how to get from the Gautrain to Ellis Park instead of actually playing. Then we've got Creel there. Creel lucky to survive the chop. I think he's also lucky that the wings, both of them fell out. Otherwise, Moody could have replaced him because Creel, a lot of fingers get pointed at Libbok, but I think Creel didn't have his best game. And then we've got Moody on the wing.
A lot of the guys, the thing is this is that a lot of the guys didn't have their best game. I think, for one, if you watch that game back, you'll see. Look at how they ran out the tunnel, for example, right? Captain sprinted out. He was G'd up for the game, and you saw that in the
Yeah,
energy in his legs. You saw that in the energy in his legs. You saw that in the carries. Everybody else, yes, in the beginning of the first 20 minutes, it was just off pure fumes, pure sort of hype. After that, there was just a flatness, after that first 20 minutes. So a lot of the
yeah.
guys, in my view, they didn't have their best outing, and especially from an energy perspective and a decision making perspective, they just it's like they couldn't think, and nobody, and there were a lot of leaders on there. Nobody took charge really to say, okay, what the hell, to say, look, we'll explain afterwards, but we're not going to lose this thing here. This is what we're going to do,
But again,
and
similarly to Van Staden going off and then Impact, Sia also after that hit, it's kind of he
yeah,
wasn't as effective. But I
yeah,
mean, you're talking about leaders. Then we've got Valileru coming in. I think if we look at the game, I think Fassi was warming up into the game. Willemse, again, injury, stop
one
start.
of
He
his
hasn't been in
worst
the best of
games as
form.
well for him. Yeah,
So yeah, so Vali LaRue, he'll come in, he'll steady the ship, the experience. I think it's 101 caps now. And then the bench, we've got Bongi, who I know a lot of people have been saying he's been in bad form. He's been dropped. We've got Manus van
mm,
him over there. Bowen Fenter gets another goal. When he came on, he wasn't really effective. I know he gave away that free kick for an early engagement. Volko Low, I think yeah, that's a good insurance policy there. And then
yes,
the two starting locks on the bench. Kwaka, I don't think he was effective. Reinach, I don't think
no,
he was effective. And then we've got the prince that was promised. We've got Sasha there. We'll see how he goes in
yeah,
terms of his inclusion.
yeah. Look, obviously expecting a reaction here, and I mean, there's all the factors, quarters. Like I said last week, the Australia had played 2 weeks prior,
Yeah, I
um,
think I think I underestimated the fact that they had been playing heavier opposition. Real
mm.
guys, real Owens. They had been playing. Heavy
Yeah,
Owens they had been
so
playing.
they could
Yes,
take
yes, they
the
were
Bok
more.
heat,
Yes,
and then they said, and then they said, right now, you're making mistakes, and you must remember, if you a team, yes, they blitzed you 3 tries there, but then you recover, and these guys now are making mistakes. You're an international side. You just come off a
yeah,
series where there was some momentum at the back end of it. You're gonna get confidence, to say, okay, look, we're still in the game. We're still in the game. We just need
Yeah.
that's the chat. You just need one. You just need, and they just got into those moments better than the Boks, and they got those opportunities. Libbok gave away 14 points. Wait, no, no,
14.
not seven. Sorry, seven in that intercept. But in that, in that, it's just a matter of on another day, he pulls that off, it works out, or he makes a different decision.
It was on.
It's
It was just a bad pass. But before we get onto
right,
that,
you know.
just last word on the squad. I think my
Mm,
main takeaway from this squad that's been announced is that you'll get better game management from Pollard and from Leroux. And then the rest of the guys, I just
you should
worry. You should.
get
You should. Okay. Yeah.
yes, because
Then,
it's not a given. It's not a given because they too can have not so good performances. Then what? You know what I mean? But I don't think that'll be the case. I'm just saying that let's all be realistic here.
okay, well, you would expect better game management from Pollard and Leroux. I will say, I would expect it. And it's also, again, it's a thing of it's easier to learn from other people's mistakes.
Yeah.
They saw what was going on. So it's going to be easier for them to learn from what has already happened, even though they weren't involved. So you'd expect Pollard and Leroux to do better in that way. The thing I worry about is combinations again. We've never seen this Bok lineup being put out before. These are not
Mm,
guys that have 10 caps together, 20 caps together, 30 caps together.
mm,
So my
mm.
worry is combinations. That's just the main thing for me. But like I said, the experience of Pollard and Leroux coming in should be good.
Yeah, look, it should be, and you should expect a better performance. And at the same time, you must know the Aussies will also be expecting that there will be,
Yeah,
and they'll make plans for it. They've got a good coach, so they are going to be prepared. And again,
yeah,
like I say, I always say, we respect the test side, just respect the opposition. Give them the because they're also an international team,
yeah,
and they have their objectives. I was looking at it at the start, and yeah, it'll be like I'm talking nonsense, but at the start of the game, looking at the average ages, and I was looking and say, hey, these guys
yeah,
are they're in a sweet spot actually, because in 2 years' time, the average age should be around about like 28 or so. Ours would be around, I think, around about like 33 also. It's an aging squad,
yeah.
and you need to find that balance quickly and continue to win. And whilst you're trying to do that, you're going to get caught up. And you just nobody just expected it like that, and at home, at altitude, and especially how gassed they looked at the end. I think really, those sort of things. But also, we need to also acknowledge the fact that we do not have the best defense in the world anymore.
Yes,
That's
yeah,
one thing
yeah,
that we need to. So on the one hand, as much as yes, you're looking to improve your attack, your defense hasn't necessarily gotten any better. If you look at even at the incoming series, how Italy were able to, yes, any team when you get momentum, but how they were able to generate that momentum and score, against us. And
yeah.
so,
I think let's start there. What I want to say, I agree with you 100%. The defense was a problem. If you look at the first try was just phases they put together, wore guys out of position. I think
mm,
also sometimes when the ref gives advantage for a penalty, sometimes guys like mentally switch off and they think like they're gonna go back for the penalty. So I think
yeah,
they defensively we didn't get it right. After that, if you look at the try, Ox was caught out totally defensively for
yeah, the
that little
dog leg
pop try.
there,
Yes, it
yeah,
was, in my opinion, again, we're not a refereeing podcast. In my opinion, it was a forward
forward
pass.
pass.
But again, not gonna cry about it. But there
Yeah.
you've got Ox caught out completely in terms of defense. Jesse Creel. Jesse Creel shot for a guy that was in front of the ball. You can't, it
Mm,
would have been a forward pass. That guy was retreating, but Jesse Creel shot for him. What happens is Jesse Creel shoots now. Now Moody has to overtrack and go for his. It just caused a whole breakdown. and then they're in
Yeah.
behind, and then Libbok and Willemse just messed the whole thing up.
Then Libbok throws an intercept, and
But I'm just
you
talking
know,
from a
yeah,
defensive
yeah.
perspective first. Then after
Look,
that, there was a kickoff.
once you breached, you're compromised. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
I
Is
don't
that
expect. I've never played fullback. I'm not the expert on shepherding international wingers.
yeah?
You're
You
gonna
see,
get cooked. You're gonna get cooked. And we saw even the next one. It was from a kickoff, and then from the kickoff, there were seven Bok defenders, five attackers. They throw it over Kurtley Arendse. I don't know. Again, defensively issues
they
there.
yeah,
And then you've got Miracle Max, Cooks Libbok. I don't expect that's a test winger. One on one, they're gonna cook you. I don't.
yeah,
You typically don't see those kind of steals. I'm not caping for him. It doesn't matter who it was there. So, in terms of the back management, I'm more worried about Ox missing that. I'm more worried about
yeah,
Jesse Creel shooting for the wrong person. More worried about seven guys being in position and five guys pulling them out of position. So, in
mm,
terms of defense, there's that. In terms of attack, we've got this structure where it's been a recurring problem since Tony Brown came in that we're spreading out over the field so that
yes,
we can play. But what that does is the guys aren't close enough to hit the rucks.
yeah,
Guys aren't close enough to hit the rucks, then they're making turnovers. And if you look at three of the Boks tries, if you look at the first one, a player goes down, guys trying to make the steal, Ox cleans. There's only one cleaner.
yeah,
If you look at Kolisi's try, there's only one cleaner. I think it was
yeah.
Marks. If you look at all three of the, I think
And
the
from
other
where
one was
he
from
even came
hands.
from to make that pickup and go,
So it's fine. We got it right those times, but it was only one cleaner. And then what do we see later on in the game when we are trying one cleaner? You're seeing Creel coming in for the side, trying to rescue a situation and giving
Yeah,
away a penalty.
yeah,
So
yeah,
we were not in an attacking capacity. When we were getting it right, we were getting it right. When we were getting it wrong, we just kept on getting it worse and worse and digging a bigger hole. So it's
and
we need to
and
sort that issue of cleaners and late arrivals and the attacking shape because it's just besides that,
yeah,
obviously there's game management we need to work on. And yeah, if we're gonna go main talking points, the guy that got the most heat, Mani Libbok. Personally, for
why?
me, again, it's just it's gonna be one of those things.
This movie,
Polarizing
I'm
player,
tired
you'll
of it.
fly half.
We saw it with Yankees, we'll see it with Libbok, And the thing is like me, I don't want to talk about Imani Libbok because I'll let the other people do it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because they're already doing it. So why you wanna kick a man when everybody else is doing it? You wanna jump on the bandwagon and kick a man. Like at the end of the day, here's the thing: he's not picking himself, is he? You know, the same coach that everybody rates is the one that's picking him.
Yeah.
So the least you could do is also have faith in the fact that the coach knows what he's doing. You
When he's
know,
doing well, it's the
I,
game plan. When he's not doing well, it's his
I,
game management.
no, like honestly speaking, yes, he threw
Yeah.
the intercept, but then there's other. Yes, he threw the intercept. Yes, he had that shitty cross kick that he tried. And yes, he wasn't managing the game. But I'll also go back to what the same coach said to say, "Hey, listen, we'll take the flag. We're the ones that we before we even pointed the players, we're the ones that we gave them this. You know what I mean? So."
Yeah.
Also, let's not knee jerk every time. Like I say, every dog has its day. And this is a symptom of not being used to being at the top. This is where you'll see the real people how they are. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So, and you can understand why some people as well they don't get fully on board with this whole stronger together thing because you see the same theme, the same narrative every single time and whatnot. No, I'm sorry, I'm going on. I didn't plan it, but
Yeah.
I'm just going off on a little rant here because it's like this. It's like, why can't, like we said, a lot of the guys, majority of the team, they didn't have their best day. There are a number of factors to that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And let's not forget, every dog has its day. You know, yeah, and it just so happened it was Saturday. Just so happened it was Saturday. Because here's the thing: hindsight is easy to say, yeah, if this one had played, that one had played.
Yeah,
We're going to find out this coming weekend just how really good Australia is if they can back it up. Because if they can back it up, then it puts a whole nother spanner in the works of this of the dynasty that they're building. So me, I'll say, whilst like you pointed out with Tony Ball, we spread out too wide. They need to make adjustments. Australia adjusted on the day.
yeah.
They at first the initial pictures they couldn't deal with
No,
them.
throughout the whole game, they couldn't. It's just that
But
they were
once
able
we
to
started making
persist
mistakes,
in attacking the ball. They were able to persist
yeah,
in attacking the ball. And if we look Springboks, other issues, we've got a line out. I think we missed 7 lineouts. I think Marks was about 4. I think
you
Bongi
see,
was about 2 or 3, if I'm not
we
mistaken.
always talk about set piece, but we forget set piece. No, no, it's the number 10. Fuck, it didn't jump.
Set piece
Excuse
was
my
a problem
language.
there. Scrums, minimal dominance. I think we just had like 1 or 2 penalties. For
Mm.
me, the biggest problem was just ball retention. We had over 10, 22 entries with no points. And why that was happening was because we were getting into the 22. And now when we're in the 22, Peter Steph one was a knock on. The other
The
one, Esther Hazen
obstruction.
made in, there was an obstruction. Esther
Mm.
Hazen ran in and then he threw a wild pass. Then Ed will clean the guy and it's a penalty. It goes on and on and on where it's like we got there. Fassi gets there. Now he wants to throw over the shoulder,
Yeah, he
other
also
kinds of
didn't
pass.
have he also didn't have his best game as
But
well.
let me tell you
You know,
something about Fassi though. Let me say something about
yeah,
Fassi. This is also, I feel like we had very poor bench management because just because some guy is on the bench doesn't mean he has to play.
yeah.
Fassi, for
I
me, watching Fassi's game, and I was
was
watching his
getting
game,
in.
he
Yeah,
was warming into the game, and I felt like
mm,
something was coming and he was growing into the game and he was growing
yeah,
confidence in the game. Then
yeah.
he's hitting his stride. You bring on Willemse because this is something you had pre-planned or whatever. And then what happens to Willemse? I'm not even going to say what happens to Willemse. So, sometimes these guys also need to, I mean, they obviously they're going to say, yeah, I haven't won 2 World Cups, but sometimes you don't have to use everyone that's on the bench. If a guy is warming up
Mm.
into the game, I would suspect that you'd leave him on longer.
Yeah, you would have imagined or thought that they would have more faith in maybe him because out of the two, yes, Willemstad brings you he on when he's on form because I think
Yeah, he's
a
not on form.
couple of weeks ago I'd said like even when he's not on form, there's a certain level that he has. I This weekend he really went a little bit, but he'll get back,
Yeah,
So
and to
when
me also it just further states that yeah, Willie Leroux is still the guy. Unfortunately, whether you like it or not, Willie Leroux is still the guy. I think Fassi has come in and he's done well. He's done better than Willemse in like recent times. I'm talking the past
yeah,
year.
yeah,
So, and I don't necessarily even think Fassi had a bad game. I don't, I
no,
don't even think he had a bad game.
not
But Willie
bad, but not
Leroux
his
is
best.
just, yeah,
But as well, they've also, I mean, this team that's picked for the weekend, they've also got to go out there and do something. You know what I mean?
nah, they're
Because
gonna win. They're gonna win. They're not
you,
gonna lose back
you
to
know
back at home.
they have to go out there and go do something. Performance wise, but also, you know, like I say, I'm not going to be knee jerk, and I'm not going to be genocidal against my people. I let the others do that like they've always been. I'm sorry, but I'm just going to say it like that. I'm angry a little bit because
Yeah,
it's the same. Like we're tired of the same movie, because at the same time it's the same coach that's picking, so you must be angry with the coach. You know,
yeah.
as our child got an opportunity, we're happy. We're happy our child is getting an opportunity. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, we will be happy.
And
You know,
what my thing is also in that we all support the same team. Are
what?
we not supporting the same
Yes,
team? But my thing is, if you're gonna unfairly call out somebody, I'm gonna unfairly call out someone else, and then
yeah.
it
Let's call out
it continues and it
every one of
continues.
them.
Yes,
Every one
because
of
it's
them.
like we all have favorites. If
That's
you're
why I'm
gonna
even
call
saying the
out, then
coach. Why do you think I'm even
yeah,
saying the coach? You say, but then if you're going to single out a player, single out the coach to say, hey, coachy, hey, what are you cooking that side?
Yeah.
That's bringing that meal was not good at all. Good starter, but the rest was just rubbish. But not really
Yeah.
at the same time because it's things that can be fixed.
Exactly. And
That's
this
the
is this is
beauty of it.
also if we're looking at the positives, if we're
Even
looking at the
issues with
positives now.
Tony Ball, man, like it's going to happen because they I'm telling you, there's something that they've identified, and we're going to start seeing it, you know, as the championship progresses, and
Yeah.
all will be well again.
Yeah, if we're looking at the positives, because I actually thought, I mean, that first half we were good. Grant Williams contestable kicks. Maybe you should have kept on doing that and not just do it in the
The
first
the
20.
ABCs of what we build on the building blocks.
Yeah, other than that, good carries, good ruck speed when we were hitting the rucks. That obviously fell away during the rest of the game. But when it's like I said, you can blame the running game, but the running game got us territory, and the running game got us the tries. It got us the territory. It got us the points. It's just after that it kind of fell away, and we just need to learn how to manage the game better from that perspective.
It's the balance. That's all it is. It's the balance. But it looked like there was a license to say go and understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, to be
Go.
honest, it did, but I'm not even gonna say that because then they're going to be like,
You
yeah,
called
you're
it. You
defending
said
players.
it, coders. They were listening to you. You said it last week. You said, no, they're gonna go out there. They're gonna. You. You said it.
Next thing
You
they're
called
doing
it,
midfield
coders.
lineouts when we're 10 points behind.
Ah,
But I mean, and that's also what I had said to you is that I don't like this thing of us becoming a spectacle and doing things when we can't even clean rugs properly. But anyway, like I said, that first 20 was something. It was something. We
yeah.
just we just need to learn when to change pace, slow it down, go back to the box kick, milk a penalty, try and get us because scrum penalties that we had.
Yeah.
What did we do? We
Break
went
the
for
back
line.
of the team. We didn't
Yeah,
break them. I think that's really my thing as well, is that we didn't break their spine and we didn't kill their spirit. No, because
yeah,
I mean, you blitz three tries like that, you better blitz three more. And
yeah.
they got juiced up before halftime when they stopped us from scoring, and they were like, yeah, no, we are here today, we are here today, and they were there. And they stayed in it, and credit to them. So it's not, it's as much as this was a Bok implosion, but it was
Yeah,
also,
yeah.
you
You
know,
can't take it away from those.
they stayed in the
Those are men
fight.
with
Like,
pride and skill. Those are men with pride and skill.
you see, so it's sports, man. It's life. You're gonna get smacked in the mouth sometimes.
Yeah, I just think work ons. I just think line out. We definitely need to sort that out. The
Yeah,
bench integration. We need to sort that out. I don't think Kwaka was. He's one of. I'm saying him because he's there again. I don't think he
yeah,
was effective off the bench. Reina, the same thing. I don't think he
mm,
was effective off the bench. You need those guys to come in and make a change.
yeah,
Like I said, lineouts, we need to get more of an upper hand and lean on the scrums. I think we will do that, especially with Volko Low there.
yeah,
Um, yeah, and for me, the main problem in this game was the fact that we just couldn't retain the ball when we got into the 22. 10 entries, no points.
yeah.
Because you can even if you can say even game management, if you say game management was we
Because,
just didn't
yeah,
so
you see,
and
do
one
you
thing,
understand? So
and
that's why you have to
like
look
I'm
at the whole
saying,
thing.
does it ultimately does it matter for us as a Springbok fan base whether you fly to Cape Town or you drive to Cape Town if you're still getting to Cape Town?
Mm,
Does it matter if you kick or you run there, but you still
yeah,
get there? If you had seen the same stats, but it was with a kicking performance, would you have been more impressed?
mm,
Or is it just because this is
see,
something that we're not used to? We're seeing this,
mm,
and now we're like, okay, this whole thing is just a big problem.
yeah, yeah. We tried this under Heineken Meyer, the total rugby. It worked somewhat, but you don't have. there's no. My problem is that it's also something that I had a chat with my brother about. There's no Dwayne like type of character in there.
Yeah,
You know, that's the father. They say, hey, no, 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 no. You understand what I mean?
yeah.
Like that sort of mentality, that sort of thinking about the game. But look,
Yeah, I guess even when
it's
you look at the World Cup where they said Dwayne had his own ideas and then Sia and Eben had their own faction, who's giving pushback to what anyone is doing there?
yes,
Who's gonna
you
tell
know,
Sia no? Who's gonna
yeah.
tell Eben no? So
Mm,
again,
mm.
we'll
But
see.
there's a number
Any
of dynamics, man. We expect, and I think for me, another work on is defense and
Yeah,
the
no, yeah, definitely.
connectedness
Yeah,
on
yeah,
defense, the connectedness on defense, because that's where they also got us, in that work rate, and
yeah.
yeah, the turnover ball, working off the ball, we need to see a bit more energy there, but it'll get better, man. It'll get better.
Any closing remarks? Closing remarks. I don't know if you want to
Shout
speak
out to
Curry
the
Cup.
bowling Cavaliers. Shout out to the bowling. What a game. Look, hey, if you were angry about Springboks on Saturday or disappointed or sad, but I don't. I was just happy the Bulls lost. Actually, I was just happy the Bulls lost. The benefactor got beaten. By
Yeah.
the beneficial.
Yeah, they're gonna cut
you know,
funding. They're gonna cut funding
yeah.
there. They're gonna say, hey, you can't
Oh,
surpass
yeah,
the
but look.
master.
But look, it was a good game. I think good. Hey, Curry Cup was good this past weekend. Shots steadily improving a little bit. They at least
Yeah.
getting some points on the board, but we'll see. So some more games coming up this weekend, and Boks got to fight back, and they will, I think. But it'll still be tough, eh? It'll still be tough. Don't
Yeah.
don't 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 write these kangaroos off, man.
Yeah, I think they've also got a few players coming back, so
Mm.
it's gonna be a tough one. But I don't see Box losing back to back at home. I don't,
Yeah, too much pride.
and I
Too
think,
much pride.
yeah, too much pride, and it's easier to learn from the mistakes of others than your own. Those
Yeah.
guys that are gonna come in and they're gonna try get the chest out and say, yeah, they're gonna move the,
We gotta
yeah,
sort
move
some things out here. We need to fix things. We need to fix things. So let's see. Let's see, man.
Because ni money, you're gonna.
Hey, guys, no, they must leave Manny Libbok alone, man. They must leave that
Yeah.
guy alone. Honestly speaking, he is the player that he is, and like I keep saying, these guys don't pick themselves. Think about that for a moment.
Yeah, the guy doesn't throw lineouts. The guy doesn't clean rucks. The guy doesn't, it's not all on him. And he doesn't miss tackles like Krill. But anyway, that's it from us,
We
guys.
love our own.
Thanks.
I'm just saying. Anyway, we out. We out.
Thanks for listening.